Hey folks, this is just a brother from holiness.com, and I'm coming to you with a short video on a topic that has been stirring in my spirit and my mind. And that's what I want to say is, don't get caught up. Don't let your spirit get caught up, your mind get caught up in trying to support, justify, or be involved in sleazy, unrighteous political activities. First of all, I know we have a lot of politicians. This is election season at the national level and local levels as well. This is a political season where the same old thing that we've seen for so many cycles, many politicians engaging in sleazy, unrighteous activities. And some of these politicians, they profess to be Christians, and we're not to be deceived. If a person is conducting their lifestyle, their life, their practices in an unrighteous manner that is inconsistent with the Bible, don't count them as a Christian. And in any case, I don't care if it's with your political party or the opposition's political party, we cannot justify unrighteous behavior. And I'm thinking of one of the examples I'm thinking of is I was watching one of the political parties some months ago that had their national primary of who they wanted to put forth as a candidate for the presidential election. And there were lots of different candidates. And one of the candidates, who's a very powerful figure at the national level, she it seemed to me that she was slandering one of the other candidates. One of the other candidates is a former vice president of the U.S. And in so many words, she was saying that the man promotes racism or segregation of the races, that he supported those policies in the past, and would have a lot of people believe that the man is, almost a white supremacist or at least affiliated and supporting those kind of practices and promoting segregation in his past life as a politician, as a government official. And the other thing, I saw a video clip where she was basically accepting accusations that have been made against a man for sexual misconduct that he supposedly did. And some of the part of what she was putting forth on video publicly that she believed that he was guilty of was basically, I don't know all the legal technical terms, but what he was described as having done, accused of, is basically sound like rape to me, and that he was using his political power to force sexual acts on someone. And supposedly, I think there's been multiple accusations from multiple women, and because he was running in the primary against this particular lady who was slandering, it sounds like slandering him, she was publicly making statements against the guy. And if we fast forward just a number of months, I was in the kitchen cutting up vegetables, and I was listening to clips of the national convention for this particular political party, and I was seeing and hearing clips where she was doing a 180 and totally turned around and saying how he was supporting women's causes and how he was going to bring folks together to do his vision. And it was kind of like, what what I had to stop cutting my vegetables and then found the whole speech just to get the context of what she was saying. And all what she was saying months ago was, she totally reversed it, but never made mention of the fact that, I was wrong before and this is what I believe now, or anything. It seemed to me, well, here's the bottom line is she was offered a job on the campaign ticket, on the political ticket. And it made it appear as if she was either bought off or she changed her mind because she was offered a job and power. It seemed it really stank. It really stank. And it's not just one party doing this. There, different parties have politicians that do sleazy stuff like this. But we as Christians, we cannot, get the lying and slandering the other guy. And we as Christians, when somebody does that, we can't justify it. I'm not telling you who to vote for, but I'm saying the act of slander or lying, sleazy activity, I don't care if it's your, quote unquote, your candidate, you cannot support unrighteous activity. God is not pleased with that. We have, in today's time, all of these. I was talking with somebody, a senior relative yesterday, and he was telling me how one of the major grocery stores that provides sells groceries in the community, how it's damaged and I guess has been just destroyed to a certain extent, or at least portions of the store, because of people rioting. Now you got people, some of them supposedly Christians, trying to justify people rioting because they're mad about political things or social things going on in the community. We as Christians, we cannot promote, we cannot participate in, we cannot justify violence. That is against the law of God. I want to share a scripture with you, and I don't want to just really go on too long with this video, but I want to encourage you Christians, don't get all worked up. I don't care if somebody starts saying, well, the other guy we're running against is a racist or whatever. Use your voting right. I'm not against peaceful protests like, Martin Luther King Jr., Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. advocated. And actually, some of you may not know that he was very staunch against violence and violent protests. Look it up, Google it. You'll see that he said that if and he said Negro, that was the term they used for blacks back in the day. He said if every Negro advocated not to maintain a peaceful protest and wanted to, go violent. If every black person in the country wanted to go, violent, that he would still alone by himself stand up and speak out against and say it was wrong to do, violent protests. So I'm not against, peaceful demonstrations, peaceful, but we as Christians, any group, whether they're violent or we suspect they have a tendency to be violent in protest, we should distance ourselves from it. Let me read this passage. I'm going to read 2 Timothy, the 3rd chapter, the 1st through the 5th verse, or at least the first part of the 5th verse. It says, "This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers." God is calling out people who slander other people, falsely accuse them. There's no excuse for it. People have this phrase that, oh, it's just politics. No, you're lying. If you say something you know it's not true, and you say it and you know it's not true, you're lying. And if you say something, you say, well, maybe it's true, but you're shading the truth. You don't know. Let me say this: as a man who tries to maintain respect for women, for somebody to grab onto some rumor and paint me to be like a sexual predator, there is no excuse. Even if you're running against me for a job, there's no excuse for that unless you have some solid evidence to be getting up in front of a camera. That's sleazy, people. And the person that I'm thinking of who did it professes, according to what the reports are in my research, professes to be part of a Bible-believing faith that believes the same Bible I believe. And evidently they're not reading it and studying it, because, so without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent, fierce. Some of us are so fierce, not because somebody, talked about our faith, which even then we shouldn't be fierce or violent. Not because somebody said something about our mama, we shouldn't be fierce and violent about that, but because somebody said something about our political party, our political candidate, and we all fierce and trash talking, and come on now. How are you representing Christ when you got people who are, suffering martyrdom for the faith of Christ, and somebody said something about your candidate, and you can't just let it go, and you about to punch them out, or look like you about to punch them out, or you cussing them out. So we are not to be fierce. Despisers of those that are good. We're not to be despisers of those that are good. It says, continue on, verse 4, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasure more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness. I'll stop right there, mid-verse, verse 5, having a form of godliness. So don't be sucked in by, people saying, oh, I'm a Christian, vote for me. Really, look at a person's track record of what they're doing. And have they been supporting principles and programs, an agenda that aligns with the principles and agenda that are dear to your heart? And I'm going to say, even if you've got to cross party lines and vote for somebody who's not affiliated with your party, to get and vote for the person who's going to be closest to your principles, your dearly held righteous principles, that's what you need to do. And so the primary thing as a Christian is not party affiliation. The primary thing is whether you're supporting biblical principles. All right, I'm going to end there.